So, you remember where I was, right? In the middle of nowhere of the northern edge of Scotland. I always say I'm open-minded and love challenges, that's why they pour in one after another. I didn't know what to expect and was both pleasantly and unpleasantly surprised. The hotel had that feeling of history and mystery intertwined with coziness, only that it was leaking from everywhere, and it was cold everywhere. The central heating was just enough to keep us from freezing. There was only one stove burning in one room, once in a blue moon, and consequently could not really warm anything. But Debbie and I managed to steal an hour or two by the fireplace, together with the two shaggy puppies. Only Debbie had to leave soon. I did actually arrive as her replacement. But I can boldly claim that in that short 1 week together we managed to lay a solid foundation for a lifelong friendship. This is actually the room I lived in for 4 months. And my favorite library. Unfortunately, there was no fire burning in there, and it was a transitional room, so it wasn't very pleasant to sit in. We spent almost all of our free time in this room, when there was any, and when there were no guests, because guests have priority by the fire force.
Eu machuquei no chão e mesclei vino com acetaminofén e ibuprofeno.
Yeah, Dave had an accident. And then he got sick, and I gave him my emergency supplies with Eva's assurance that she would restock the antibiotic. Well, like all her promises, that went with the wind, and I had to fend for myself, but nothing new under the sun anyway.
No!
And it was time to send Debbie to sunny Portugal, because it's just me going now for the winter, of course. So we had to get her to Kimbrace to catch the train. Yes, but there was no train running today. Well, straight to Brora, better. Coffee and cake from Debbie to say goodbye. And on the bus to Glasgow, where George was already waiting for her. Bye, Debbie, and good luck. And back towards the hotel. Well, there are a few shots from another later visit, which I'm including here as there are not enough for a separate video. I actually saw almost nothing of Brora, as well as from all the other places during this stay. I didn't have the luxury of spending a few hours alone anywhere, with the exception of an hour and a half in Turso at some point. So I never got to walk around in my own way and feel the pulse and atmosphere of a place there. Well, it is what it is. We'll talk about feelings another time. So much from Brora. Except that the way back is not at all to be ignored. I used to love our trips to Brora and Turso, just to enjoy the scenery running by the window. Scottish Highlands. It's so beautiful, with so much history and so much grief and struggle in all those places. And those beauties, along with their ladies, were a common presence. I loved watching their proud bearing, even if only as a silhouette far away in the field.